As I go to start the Lightblade Strike, I ended up looking at the rest of the UI for once, and noticed the fireteam finder button. This took me to a fancy page where I had to agree to the Guardian Oath. I accepted the terms and conditions. I didn't end up having to use the fireteam finder here, but this is a convenient feature to have in-game. The Lightblade Strike begins with us starting in the Queen's Bailey. Fynch lets us know that one of Savathun's strongest soldiers is protecting the Temple of Oryx. He doesn't know what they are guarding, but based on its location and circumstances, it should be of immense value, just like Sagira. However, the only way we can enter the temple is through some old canals. Thus, Fynch will get us a boat. While trying to work our way in, we encounter Alexis, the Lightblade. This is the warrior Fynch warned us about, but he should be guarding the temple and not have been wandering this far out. We don't know why they are here, but we should probably take this chance to take care of it ourselves. We enter the following room and find ourselves back where we first found Savathun in the first mission. After taking care of the enemies here, we were able to progress past the barrier. Fynch strikes up a conversation and mentions how it's odd that Ikora was not able to notice Savathun becoming Osiris. There were numerous reasons for this, but all this ends up doing is reinforcing just how adept Savathun is at deception. The Hive God of Lies and Cunning is not a title she has for fun. Our ghost points out that, yes, while Savathun did trick Ikora, she also tricked us and every other ghost, including the Hive ones. Fynch obviously does not have a comeback to that. I made a far too ambitious jump once we entered the Temple of the Navigator. Luckily enough, I managed to catch up to the ferry and joined my fellow guardians. Somehow I ended up instantly dying, and this death gets categorized as a misadventure. It seems like this death was most likely caused by some weird collision with my player model and the front of the ferry, but that's the best guess I got here. I spawn on one of the platforms behind some enemies and jump on over to one of the pillars in front of me. The ferry stops in front of a barrier, and we need to deposit some charges in order to disable it. I'm still stuck on the lower layer of pillars due to my earlier actions, and only end up fixing this by falling to my death. After reviving, I don't revive my teammate because there was no point in reviving them right next to me when they were already going to revive right there. In fact, he should have technically revived before me, but whatever. I run up the stairs and kill the Lightblade warrior as my third teammate deposits the charge. We continue the ferry ride. This section is quite linear. The scant few enemies that try to attack us are just not enough. The streakers try their best though. The ferry passes through a waterfall and we enter a much darker tunnel. I didn't learn from my previous lesson and jump onto another platform as the ferry comes to a stop. After defeating the small group of Hive, we can continue. Fynch notes that this ferry ride is nearing its end, and that we are nearing the Temple of the Taken King itself. For some reason, darkness has overtaken this area. We receive the Weight of Darkness debuff. As it stacks up to a maximum of 10, our movement speed is reduced, and we become unable to sprint. Several groups of enemies try to take us down. The most annoying of the troops are the Scream. However, due to this strike being in its normal difficulty instead of legendary, they don't pose a threat. It really is unfortunate that I cannot force the legendary version of the strike and had to return to this undertuned experience. I also don't know if this debuff is something you can clear, as I didn't really notice any areas where you could clear said debuff. In any case, we reach a bridge leading to the temple and the darkness debuff is cleansed from us. We can continue up the cavern until the outside is exposed to us again. Several ogres and wretched abominations occupy the grounds outside the monument's entrance. The Lightblade joins these forces and tries to slow down our assault, but we force him to retreat back into the temple proper. This is where we can face off against Alexis, the Lightblade. The impact of this fight is greatly diminished due to the reduced difficulty I mentioned earlier, but there are still some mechanics at play. After entering Phase 2 and Phase 3 of the fight, we have to first take care of 3 Lightblade Knights. After crushing those ghosts, Alexis' shield is dropped, and we can damage him again. For some reason though, even though we managed to take down Alexis, we are not able to destroy its ghost, and it teleports away. We collect our loot and obtain a tablet of ruin. The first part of Savathun's imprint says that the tablets hide a riddle. We convey this information to Fynch. I learn here that Oryx used the tablets of ruin to create the Taken, which is why he is called the Taken King. I realized that Oryx and the Taken had some sort of relationship due to that epithet, but I hadn't realized that he just straight up created the Taken. Fynch points out how Alexis' ghost disappearing was a contingency plan and that the Hive are learning. I guess this also explains how we are able to be revived in certain areas when surely the enemies would just destroy our ghost as well. I return back to Savathun's throne world and clear my way past the Witch's Echo once more. I take the portal and am able to re-enter the Altars of Reflection. The portal we took last time is no longer here, forcing us to find another way. I see a bunch of mission markers pop up on the wall in front of me, so I just started blasting. Of course, this only led to a bunch of incorrect rune-chosen messages popping up. The trial begins again though. I decided to actually solve the puzzle after, failing to do so. Almost instantly, I noticed that the first rune of the first pillar was different from the rest. I shot it, and that produced a floating symbol, which probably confirmed I was on the right path. With that hint in mind, I looked at the rest of the pillars and shot the fifth and last pillars as they were the only other ones with different symbols in their respective rows compared to the rest of the pillars. This unlocks a door in front of us, and I am able to progress. We're able to pick out some deep sight in this area, which makes you think that Savathun has a deeper connection to deep sight than what I first thought. Other than that, we just have to clear some ads. The difficulty here is patrol level, and that's not an insult. I was just not able to enter this mission on legendary difficulty either. I entered the next room, which is the actual altar of reflection this time around. The gigantic, oversized phantom figure of Savathun looming in the distance makes this room feel a lot more menacing than it otherwise would. It also helps really sell the idea that Savathun is literally looking at us and our every action. I did try to run up to the phantom, but ran into the death screen in just a few seconds. Since I can't do anything else, I went ahead and placed a tablet of ruin onto the altar. From the memory imprinted onto this tablet, we learn that Savathun rejected the mantle of the Taken Queen as she would never want to be in a position lower than her brothers, demonstrating the immense amount of pride Savathun has invested in herself. This also helps with explaining why Savathun didn't join forces with the Witness. Oryx described the process of creating the Taken as he carved the tablets of ruin. The chisel he used was affected by power from the deep, implying that the power of the Taken comes from said location. This is where we return to Savathun and learn that the tablets hid a riddle, the answer to which is something even greater than the power to take. This is the same power vested in the Witness, the ability to move worlds from one reality to another. I'm not exactly sure what that implies, but it does sound quite threatening. Upon learning this information, Savathun decided not to wield this power of darkness and instead decided to learn the light. This is where she flips the script on us. Savathun is actually instead trying to protect the Traveler from its enemies, aka the Witness. By having the Traveler in her throne world, she can seal it away and have it all to herself. Truly the most noble of actions. This ends the mission, but we didn't leave empty-handed. We were finally able to gain a deeper insight into Savathun's plan and her intentions. It also sets up the Witness as an even more imposing figure. He's even stronger than Oryx and has a power that is much greater. The Witness is most likely stronger than the Traveler, and thus the only path forward Savathun sees is disappearing with the Traveler itself. However, that is presuming that the Witness would not then be stronger than Savathun herself. Savathun most likely believes in her ability to outsmart the Witness at the very least. Phew, that was quite a lot of information that we just learned in quite a short amount of time. We take this information to Ikora. Ikora takes on the responsibility that she really was one of the reasons Savathun was able to gain so much information. Ikora is willing to accept the responsibility of this result and wishes to do anything to stop Savathun before she reaches the Traveler. Fynch has kept himself busy and has found another lead. I have no idea how Fynch has been doing this consistently, but it is some truly impressive work from his end.